Sean Kelly, MEP for Ireland South. At the moment, we want to get it finalised before the elections next year, so that we will have one rule applying all across the European Union, as distinct from 27 plus rules at the minute, to bring certainty for business, what they have to do, and also to give assurance to consumers that their data is protected. It has a relevance because we can often live in silos, think that we know all the answers, but we legislate on the basis of doing good for society generally. And you have to listen to all sides of the arguments, and particularly those who have to work the regulations. And businesses will have to work with these regulations, and especially the online advertising business. So we need to hear what their views are so we can take them on board. Well, we have to try and balance the rights of consumers so that we'll have enough confidence in the internet and using it, but then at the same time to allow innovation to grow. And if we have too many rules and make it very difficult for businesses to innovate by having to do all sorts of things, then that's going to inhibit them and allow competitors from outside of Europe to have all the cake. We cannot have that. We need to be practical and sensible, and I think we can do that. The radio silence is because the work is now taking place behind closed doors, basically, a committee level, looking at all the proposals and trying to reach compromises on the major issues. So we're bang in the middle of that at the minute. We hope to have a vote at the Civil Liberties in June. If that happens, then we would have negotiations with the Council, the Troika they call it, and hopefully have everything ready for early next year. So there are deadlines we need to meet, otherwise the proposals will probably collapse. Sticking points are particularly in relation to the definition of consent. Explicit consent is a sticking point. Profiling is a sticking point. The one-stop shop, which I think is vital, is a sticking point for some people. And the question of pseudonymisation, which I think is vital, is also a sticking point for other members of Parliament. They're probably the major ones. I think you can get consensus on some issues, you won't on others, but then that is not really a stumbling block, because at the end of the day you have to put it to a vote and the majority will decide. So the real key is to have balance going into that vote, so that the major issues are clear and then that members of Parliament can vote accordingly. He's working very hard on it. Obviously, the views that would come from my committee, which have been passed in this committee, would conflict in some degree, certainly, with the views from his committee. So at the moment we are discussing, trying to work out what are the red lines for us, the red lines for him, so that we can reach a compromise and progress the regulation. Because if we don't, I think we're going to do a lot of damage, not just to industry, to consumers, but perhaps the image of the European Parliament as well.